What's special about Fumu is that in every pair of shoes that Tor makes, you can see his journey. It's made by an actual living person who has had experiences.
You really require a lot of patience when it comes to making shoes as fine as Fumu's shoes.
The finished shoe embodies my journey as a craftsman and the struggles that I've been through. But that pair of shoe is only complete when the customer takes it on their own journey. Life without shoes is incomplete. My name is Tor Cheng Yao, and I'm a bespoke shoemaker. I was a typical Singaporean kid. Well, I studied hard. I got into a good school. Yeah, I did pretty well for studies, so that allowed me to go to London at UCL to study economics. I thought, is this what I really wanted to do for the rest of my life? I thought Singapore didn't need another banker. So I first got into shoes when I was in the UK, where I found that there's a very different culture there. What I realized there was that they repaired and restored their shoes. I found out that there's this thing called a hand-welted shoe, which is how shoes were made before the Industrial Revolution, right? And I thought, hey, you can make a pair of shoes by hand. I got my first opportunity. I was working for a shoe brand called Joseph Cheney, and the Japanese distributor came over on a work trip, and I asked him for a job to bring me to Japan where I could learn shoemaking. That's how I got my break into Japan. Welcome to our studio where I share a space with classified footwear. There's lots of shoes here. These are my shoes, and I have two ranges basically. That's the dress shoe line where I do my bespoke and made to order, and also the Traveller series. Our house signature is a semi-chisel toe, so you can see it's not round, it's slightly semi-square. For our Traveller's collection, it's a more accessible range. This is our basic silhouette, white and gum sole is actually one of the more popular options right now. If you want something that's a bit bolder and a bit more personalized to your taste, you can also customize each piece of leather. I still keep all the traditional methods in making this pair of shoes. Almost every part of the shoe is handmade. Hey, thanks for coming. Hey.
Thank you. So I'm looking for a pair of shoes for my brother's wedding.
Okay. Is there any particular style that you're looking at?
Well, I am looking at an Oxford.
Yes, okay.
Probably a little bit more of a round toe as opposed to chiseled like
okay,
this.
okay. The bespoke shoemaking process is a fairly long one. The first time the customer comes in, it's a consultation. We'll talk about the design, we'll talk about the leather choices, I will measure the customer's feet. So in shoemaking, we always start with an upper. Okay, so once the uppers are prepared, the next step is the bottoming, and the last is the mold of the shoe. So right now I'm lasting the shoe. It's the process where I take the leather and I pull it over the last, and this forms the shape of the shoe. So for the second time that the customer comes in, there will be a fitting shoe done up. Oh, that's a good sound actually.
Oh, is it?
Yes, that means like the air is escaping the shoe, so like it's not too loose. It's a nice fit. So I'll make the adjustments on the last, and then I'll make the final shoe. So a welt is a piece of leather that runs around the shoe, and this allows the shoes to be re-sewed easily. So after the welting is done, we put on the sole and we finish up the shoe. That could mean about a year for the customer to receive his shoes from the initial order.
It helps to know where your shoes are coming from. This is something that you rely on, and if you can have them for years and years.
In contrast to fast fashion, what I'm trying to do at Fumu is to be very intentional. We want things to last and to actually be on a journey with you. One of the great things about Japanese shoemakers is they are so detail-oriented. They are so dedicated to their craft. They bring things to the next level. Well, an interesting pair. This is my first pair of shoes that I've made in Japan in 2016. It's not very well made. There's lots of things that can be improved on. I made 6 pairs of shoes at the shoemakers class, so I brought it to visit this renowned bespoke shoemaker, Yohei Fukuda. I look at his shoe, and I look at my shoe. Even without him saying, I knew that the gap was too big. He said, you have to learn at a proper workshop. He introduced me to Kyo Udagawa, who is a bespoke shoemaker based in Saitama. I spent about 6 hours commuting to the workshop when I was there. So at Kyo, I really learned more about precision, being more accurate, also spending more time with a pair of shoes. Fumu means to step in Japanese. There's this concept called mono no aware. We really need to appreciate our time in the present, like the sakuras in Japan, which is very fleeting. Each season, they come and go. So in all my traveler's shoes, I stitch a piece of sakura or cherry blossom motif onto the tongue. So this is the second pair of shoes that I've ever made in Japan, and these are my wedding shoes. This was a pair of derbies. So these are my wife's pair of shoes. Well, it's not a very typical wedding shoes for ladies, I guess, but this was all I could make at that time.
We met in London during university days. We were young then, and then I just thought like, okay, like I didn't want to be like limited to just Singapore. Why not try to live like in Japan? It was my childhood dream.
Before we had with Matty, it was just working, hustling. We don't really stop to really appreciate like the little moments. That's also when we got a car, and each weekend we brought him to parks, nature, and that really changed our lifestyle in Japan. We lived in Japan for close to a decade and came back in 2025. We came back to officially start FOMO and to be closer to family. Yeah.
Do you know where?
Yeah. Okay, Matty, I need you to help.
In the corner, open it. Can?
Oh, okay, well done. Anywhere? Matty is 5, and he's not going to be 5 forever. And I don't want to be at a stage where we look back and I think like I should have done more during this time. Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to our workshop, our leather sandal making workshop. So today we'll be learning how to make a pair of leather sandals by hand.
Okay.
You want to choose your leather? Yeah. Red, very striking.
Nice. Today is the first time we are hosting a collaborative workshop. We thought that we'll go in this headstroke.
This one like the...
Just skin and maybe some dye lah. Okay, then for safety reasons, okay, when we deal with cutting, you want to either cut like this with something pivot, or you want to cut with your elbows. If not, it's very easy to slip. The finished shoe.
It's been laborious. I started the day thinking it's gonna be just gluing things together. I have a lot of appreciation now for shoemaking. I used to think it was very easy.
It's a very personal thing, you know, when you craft something, when you make something out of your own.
As I see Singapore progressing, there will be a small group of people that will be left behind. This small group of people can probably work with their hands well. I hope that we can create a community here in Singapore where people who still can do good work with their hands, do something meaningful in Singapore.
I feel like Tor's style really reflects who he is as a person. When I first saw his shoes, I somehow instinctively knew that there was a link to Japan. Maybe it's the simplicity. There's not a lot of ostentation, there's not a lot of flourishes, but it looks good.
Whatever you see, like him as a shoemaker, is him as a person. He really isn't someone who has different facades. I really admire him for that, because I think it's not something many people can really do because it's really out of the comfort zone.
To me, there's really two parts to this. The first part of it is my journey as a craftsman. The finished shoe embodies my journey and the struggles that I've been through. But what's more important is that pair of shoe is only complete when the customer takes it on their own journey. I sincerely hope that my shoe can inspire them, to spark something in them, to do something different, to step out of their comfort zones and chase their dreams.